Hello and welcome to the About to Interview podcast. I'm your host, that guy named John. This is a supplemental version of the About to Review podcast, which drops every Wednesday and covers movies, TV shows, film festivals, and more. You can follow the podcast on all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at About to Review, and make sure to subscribe on iTunes/Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Blueberry, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. This show focuses solely on the conversations that I have with authors, directors, actors, and creators, and is available on YouTube as well as subscribing to the podcast. Make sure to click the subscribe button below, give a thumbs up, and check out the full show notes with links to the guests at abouttoreview.com.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Yeah. Let's all go to the lobby. Yeah. Let's all go to the lobby. Yeah. Let's all go to the lobby. Yeah. Let's all go to the lobby.
David Crownson is an actor, filmmaker, writer, and creator of the new comic, Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So this is something that you and I had actually, been talking about this for a while, trying to coordinate schedules for a minute. Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer, when it launched on Kickstarter, like a year ago, it was something that first grabbed my attention, and I was like, this is incredible. I need to find out what else this guy is up to. So I'm very glad that we were able to make this work.
Me too, man. Like, thank you again for inviting me to be on, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So with Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer, one of the taglines is, this is a graphic novel blending supernatural action with the true life of Harriet Tubman. I gotta ask, what was the inspiration for Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer?
Well, man, quick background about me. You know, as I said before, I'm an actor. My background is in performing, and I had gone through 3 rejections for 3 big auditions. One for Orange is the New Black and a Steve McQueen produced TV show, and then an independent movie called Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Right, just a little thing,
Yeah,
little indie feature.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy for John Boyega. but yeah, I was just feeling kind of low and down, and I was in New York City, and my mom just said, "Hey, if you're kind of stressing out, I think you should take a break. I think you should move and come live with us in Africa." My parents are originally from Ghana, West Africa.
Okay.
So I did that and lived in Africa for 4 months. Did a whole Eat, Pray, Love David version.
Right.
And it was great. Loved it. I highly recommend it for everyone. Just live in a different country. And it also just kicks in all your creativity, and it kicks in all of your inspiration as well. Like, so it came to me when I was actually watching TV in Africa, and I was watching a documentary on Harriet Tubman on like a Ghana paid programming biography channel.
Okay.
And I had written book reports on Harriet Tubman when I was in like grade school. So I was just like, oh, cool, this is awesome, catching up with all things Harriet Tubman. This is amazing. I'm in Africa. And then, there was a commercial break, and in Ghana, the commercials are like 10 minutes long.
Wow.
Oh yeah, dude. Like,
that is a short film. That is not a commercial.
I know, dude, and the commercials are extremely entertaining, just so you know. I'm just putting that out there. Like, and also hilarious. Like, you know how we have, like in America, we have that voice where it's like, in a world where, we have that voice. There's a Ghanaian version of that. Like,
amazing.
So it's like, I think the trailer for, Interstellar came on, and it was like, from the director of The Dark Knight, and Inception. Christopher Nolan. What is Matthew McConaughey going to do? And I was like, it's amazing. I love it.
Incredible.
So like, I switched channels, and then Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came on. So I'm watching Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I love it. It's amazing. And it was the final sequence with Michelle Yeoh and Zhang Zi having their sword fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie. And then that movie ends, and there's another commercial break, and I'm like, okay, let me make my way back to the Harriet Tubman documentary. And then I bumped into a channel that was playing Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, and I was like, oh, I gotta check this
gotcha.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I was just interested with the concept and the idea, and I watched it. Didn't like the movie; it was a bad movie. No offense to the filmmakers, because filmmaking is very hard to do.
Correct. Yes.
So I watched it, and then later that night I was doing a journal entry based on like my experiences in Ghana, and I wrote down everything that I was watching and everything that I was doing, and I wrote down Harriet Tubman biography channel. And then I wrote down Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, and then I wrote down a katana fight scene, watching Crouch Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And then I don't know, like John, I don't know what happened, but like as I had a whole paragraph of things I wrote, but those three things jumped at me. It was Harriet Tubman, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunter, katana martial art fight scene, and it just like jumped at me. And then I was like, Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, and I was like, that sounds cool. And I wrote it down, and I was like, what if Harriet Tubman like moved like Zhang Zi and Michelle Yeoh in those fight sequences, but she was like killing like werewolves and demons and witches and stuff, and like, well, she was a total badass, and like, well, she was a total badass. What if she was like a badass with martial art moves that were choreographed by John Woo Ping, and like an Ang Lee-esque directed camera, and like, you know, all this other stuff added to it. And yeah, man, I wrote it down, I underlined it, I thought it was cool, but I didn't know what it was going to be yet.
Right.
I just the visual of it. And I think, you know, I always grew up reading comic books. So I had bought a book by my favorite comic book writer, which is Brian Michael Bendis.
Absolutely.
He wrote yeah, man, like I have all of his comic books. Like, I think when me and my girlfriend move in together, like the biggest fight is going to be where I put my comic book.
I think that is a common fight among a lot of couples when one of them is a comic book collector, because once you start working on long boxes, those are not small. They take up a lot of room, so it is like, okay, we need a second room just so I can have a corner to put all of this stuff.
Oh yeah, like, but I think it'll work out because my girlfriend is she's a big. She buys novels, and like we both live at like Barnes and Noble and like old school and Borders. May they rest in peace. Yeah,
pour one out for Borders.
Yeah, let me pour my club soda for Borders. Right. But yeah, I have like, you know, over 12 years of books that I've read and collected too. So I bought his book on how to write comics, and I thought, wait, I should make it a comic book. And yeah, and that's where things took off. And I read his whole book, which is basically like a master class on how to write comics and how to network yourself and do a business. And then, you know, there was talk about doing a Kickstarter, and I said no, I didn't want to do a Kickstarter because like that was nerve-wracking. Because it's like if you fail like behind closed doors, it's like, oh, it's okay,
right?
But, you know, I'm like, I don't care. But if I fail publicly,
and it lives on the internet forever,
it lives on the internet. Like I remember there was a campaign for this guy. He had an awesome idea for 1980. This is before Stranger Things. I forget this filmmaker's name, but it was basically Stranger Things, but set like in, I think, like Harlem, and it was a really cool idea, and he was only like $10,000 shy of his goal. You know, he had reached, I think the goal was like $40,000, but he had reached $30,000, and he couldn't get that $10,000. And like the Kickstarter was like, sorry,
right?
You know, and I was like, I don't. That's terrible. And I'm like, and over 1,000 people were watching it. Yeah, so I was nervous about it, and then a few of my friends were pushing me toward doing it, and I feel like I'm just going on. I'm sorry if I'm talking too much.
No, not at all.
Am I answering all these questions?
Yes, that was question number 1. So, but I mean, you know, going into, like, after reading Brian Michael Bendis, who is an incredible author, reading his book, getting the inspiration from what sounds like amazing television in Ghana, when you finally started to take that paragraph of kind of random notes and write out this story, where did you kind of start? When you started, did you think, okay, this is where I want it to end up? I'm always fascinated by that process, whether it is like, okay, I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants, which some writers do, and it is great. Other writers, you can tell that they have these massive arcs and these storylines that they want to accomplish. So as soon as they put pen to paper, they know where it is going. Talk about your process with that once you took that paragraph of notes and inspiration and how that led into the writing process.
Yeah, man, like, first, I need to know who the characters are, and I need to know who the players are.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I'm like, we need someone that's going to act as an audience for Harriet Tubman. And I thought, okay, it should be a family. And then I was trying to say, like, okay, like, it's called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. How can I introduce a world of werewolves and witches? And I started doing research on her life, and I found this little story about when they found out there was a bounty on her head. They found out who she was, and there was a bounty for $45,000, which accumulates to $45 million.
I was going to say $45,000 in 1860, like, oof.
Oh yeah, that's like $45 million today.
Sheesh.
And so I was like, okay, what if someone, I'm like, that's a story, because I can make that. The stakes are high, and what if she has to? She's already a badass, but like, you always have to test your hero,
right?
So what if she had to fight all of that at the same time while also protecting this family? And at first, I was going to make it a father and just his daughter, and then I'm like, no, like, I think it should be a full blown family, like. And so at first, when I first wrote that draft, I'm like, okay, I'll introduce the family, and I also thought about things of what a hero means, and there's not just, like, you know, being a badass and saying badass lines. There's an aspect of the altruism. With great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
Those are, and also, like, my favorite superhero is Superman.
Great choice.
Yeah, like, Clark would. No one has to like. This is gonna sound bad, but like, no one has to die for Clark to wake up and go, "Oh, I should help people." I mean, technically, like, a whole planet has to die.
I was like, depending on how you want to look at it, yeah.
Whole planet has to die, but he doesn't know that until he's like 30, and he, like, sticks a key in, and I am Jor-El. This is your mother and father. Like, he doesn't know that. He's just like, oh, like, I should, you know, help people because I can, like, because it's the right thing to do. And also, so I thought about that, and also the point of rescuing people. You know, and before even adding, like, vampires to this, when you read the first issue, originally, like, there wouldn't be a happy ending. You know, like, that family would have been murdered right there on the spot. And in the worst fashion. And you're reading these stories, and there's no happy ending. With a hero there gets to be a happy ending. Right. And I thought about all those things, and also someone that powerful would be very calm and relaxed in every situation. That's another thing that I love about Superman. Like, that guy he doesn't need to really raise his voice. He's not really trying to hurt you. He's trying to save even you, the bad guy. you know, and just saying very nice, like, excuse me, man, could you please not do that?
Right.
He's like, you don't need to rob this bank because I can, you know, wrap you in a pipe and bend it like it's paper. I can move faster than the speed of sound. I can, like, chop you off with my katanas. And I, you know a whole bunch of martial arts very easily, even though I'm 4'11", you know. But, like, it was, yeah, like, I don't know if I answered your question completely. Did I answer it completely?
Yes. So basically, I mean, so you had an idea of the whole kind of picture with the rescue angle, with the family angle, as you started writing out, you know, the script that would become the comic book.
Had the characters, and then I thought, okay, what we incorporate that real life angle of a bounty being on her head, and then what happens then, you know, and then, you know, thought about other movies that are about being on the run. And I thought, okay, I'll make this a long chase scene. I'll make this whole entire 13-issue arc a long chase scene where it'll be that kinetic energy where things are constantly moving, but the stakes are getting higher because for every different level, there's a different devil.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to write that one down.
Yes, for every new level, there's a different devil. And the kinetic energy, I was inspired by Mad Max Fury Road because it's like constantly moving. There's always something happening. And they think, okay, we're cool. All right, we're cool. Oh, there's a dude with a guitar with a flamethrower and a whole of people. And they're, okay, we're good. What? There's a sandstorm? What? Like, there's always, like, something. And, you know, there's no, like, resolve. There's always danger. Then, you know, then we have, like, but I think issue 4 things slow down a little bit, and we get some more talking. Like issue 3 is going to be the same type of pacing. And issue 4, we're going to have our discussion of where the plot is established of there being a bounty, and that's where then issue 5, everything it just keeps on ramping up. Everything keeps on ramping up, and I like doing that by arriving late to a scene, but also leaving early. Like, you know, and one thing that I love about that I'm taking that style and incorporating it into my comic is I love cliffhangers, and that's what always kept me going. Like issue 1, I wanted there to be a cliffhanger. Issue 2, big old cliff. To me, I think was a big cliffhanger, just to keep you wanting more and to keep the questions going, and always like also being inspired by an Adam West of. Will Batman and Robin get out of this? Like that.
Tune in next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Exactly.
Right, so now, when you were drawing from inspiration, one of the things that, as I was reading the first 2 issues that you were able to send to me, the art direction definitely had, in my opinion, a lot of influence. There were some anime and some manga stylings. Was that something, when you talked to your group of artists that you were working with, like Cortland Ellis and these other group of artists, how did you convey those different ideas, those different inspirations in creating the art style for this?
Well, I looked at Cortland's work, and he is inspired by a lot of Legend of Korra, and also inspired by a few other animes and mangas titles, and even some titles that I haven't even heard of.
Right.
And I knew his style, and I also talked about like Afro Samurai being an inspiration, and Joey's style is because Joey has worked for Marvel Comics a few times, and he took inspiration. He actually brought up, before I even said it, he's like, I think we should look at Afro Samurai, and there's a few animes I want to take inspiration from, just to keep, because no one's looked at slavery from the standpoint of it being like an anime as far as action goes. And I was like, holy shit, like, yeah, holy shnikes, I never thought about that. And yeah, we took it from that point of view, you know, like keeping.
And Joey Vasquez is who you were talking about just then, right?
Yeah. Joey Vasquez, who has done X-Men Blue, and he's done a few other promotional things for Marvel. I think he has a few other things coming up there too. So, and he was big on also making it very like fun and making it very engaging and making it. He wanted to make an action thriller, and I think one of my notes in the script where I said, "Yo, man, just make this epic," you know, and he ran away with that, and I'm loving the work they're doing, and I'm very excited to do more with them.
Awesome. So one of the other things that stuck out, other than the amazing art direction, when you work with a group of artists, having them gel together and create a cohesive, look and feel is so important. So that was incredible. One of the other things that was awesome was that so far in these first couple issues, and it sounds like there are many more planned, which is great, but so far in the first couple that I've had the privilege to read, there's a pretty small group of protagonists. You have Caesar, Venus, Catherine, and Harriet, of course. So 3/4 of that main group are these strong, powerful women. So even the daughter, Venus, has her moments of strength and agency, which is incredibly important, and that was great to see. And so I wanted to know, like, who are some of those female role models in your life that kind of maybe inspired some of the character choices that you made in Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer?
Mommy. I mean, mom. My mom, who is ironically 4'11", the same height as Harriet Tubman,
right?
And my mom, in every situation, in most situations, she does everything with a smile on her face. Even when someone is blatantly being disrespectful, my mom holds her ground, and my mom doesn't raise her voice unless if my mom raises her voice or gets angry, that means you really messed up.
Ish is about to go down.
Oh yeah, so the heart and soul of my mother was in it big time. But then, yeah, I think I even shared it on Facebook. Other inspirations were, Whoopi Goldberg and Eartha Kitt, and also Taraji P. Henson. Also from a surface, because Taraji P. Henson looks like she looks like a Japanese anime character. She has these giant expressive eyes, and me and Cortland talked about that a lot because I think we looked at other animes just as far as style and physical presence, and I was like, her.
So going back to Kickstarter real quick, and the justifiable worry and panic of being on this platform where everything is out in the open, it lives on the internet. You succeeded, and not only succeeded, but you exceeded your original goal by over $6,000. So I definitely want to give you, huge props for that, because that making a Kickstarter goal and achieving that is one thing, going above and beyond is pretty amazing. So definitely congratulations for that.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, but I think the goal was 15,000, and we got to 21. I think a little over 21,000, and when I decided to do the Kickstarter, it was post election day, and I wasn't happy with certain politics in the country.
Right.
To put that politically as possible. And so then one of my friends called, and she was really upset about the current political state of the country.
Right.
And she remembered my comic, and she just said, I need that book now. And I'm like, okay, don't worry. I'm doing this thing called Black Irish. It's really fun and cool. She's like, no. I want your comic now. I'm like, oh, Black Irish is kind of a showcase for me. It's like, do that later. I need to see a woman kicking ass now. This is important. And I was like, okay. And then everyone I talked to was very distraught, and this book was a fun idea to me at 2 a.m. in Ghana, West Africa, and I was like, oh, this is fun, this is for me. But then it became more about community, and also doing things for harmony, and also, oh wait, this is a fun idea to me, but this is also making my female friends of color feel empowered and feel good and feel strong. So I'm like, okay, this isn't about me anymore. This is a bigger thing. And I talked to Cortland about it, and I said, hey, we have to do this, and we have to get a Kickstarter together, and we have to drop it on Cyber Monday. And he said, no, it's a terrible idea.
Right.
The Kickstarters that are done during the Christmas season always fail. Don't do it. And I said, no, like, this has to happen.
It needs
right
to happen. Mm-hmm.
So we did it, and it was just a lot of, when you're that committed about your project and you believe in it, you become, Han Solo. Like, it's like, don't tell me the odds.
Yeah.
And you're taking bold requests and bold risk every single day. And you minimize fear, and you're just focusing on the love and the possibility of the project. And you're hitting up people that you never thought you would, hit up before. And also, it's like, you're not just hitting them up just to, like, you'll give you some money.
Right.
You're I think it's important to establish a conversation first and catch up with people. And then, like, 20 minutes midway, just be like, oh, by the way, I'm
working on this thing. And,
and it was a great exercise in just connecting with people, and also being brave in my pursuit of things, and also getting out of my comfort zone. And we reached the goal the week before Christmas, and
wow.
And certain celebrities had, tweeted, were on Twitter tweeting about it, and and then people over at Hulu were following me, which was great. And other people that I'm fans of, even, like, I think Brian Michael Bendis congratulated me.
Oh, wow.
Which was like cool. And yeah, man, like, it was, there's two different things. There's a difference between, I think nervousness comes in two different shades. Like, it's the same energy, but when you're nervous, you're kind of hiding, but when you're excited, you're open like this. So I decided to focus every single day on the excitement of this. And yeah, then we were able to meet that goal, and I'm grateful I had a lot of help too from other nerd blogs that were and comic book blogs that believed in it and loved the artwork and loved the story, and other podcasts let me be a guest on their show. And I had though what should have been a really scary, intense time turned out to be a very exciting and powerful time emotionally. So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things that with Kickstarter, I mean, and you kind of touched on it, that nervous energy, that excitement about it. Whenever I see Kickstarter levels and different rewards, you can always kind of tell where the project is moving and really how much excitement it is generating. You had a $250 reward, which is a cameo appearance in an issue of the comic, which is awesome by itself. You had 16 backers at that level. So that showed that you had the support of, like you said before, those amazing women of color in your life who are like, we need to see this now. We need to see this representation. We need to see a woman with agency. To have 16 backers at a level like that who are like, not only am I supporting this project of representation, I want to be a part of it. I want to have my likeness and my being as part of this story. That was just pretty incredible.
Yeah, man. Like, I think I forgot how we because this all happened on the fly. We had like a week, 2 weeks to put this all together, and we were discussing the prizes still. And I'm like, oh, what would I want? And I was like, that would be, I think that'd be cool if I was in this. If I was in a comic book and got to be in it, but also be whatever I want in it. So. Right, I think we did that, and the 16 people I've talked to, about 5 of them, just to collaborate on, like, okay, what do you want to be, and also how it fits into the 13-issue arc that we're doing. And I'm going to speak with the rest, because they've been a little bit hard to get a hold of. I don't know. Kickstarter. I've sent emails being like, "Hey, you donated this, so where do you want to be in this?" So I'm hoping to speak with the rest of them later on this month, just to establish what they're going to be.
Nice.
I think they were just like, oh, okay, like I'll just send him a picture, and I'm like, no, like this, I want to fit you into like a whole story.
You want it to be
and
more of a
all that stuff.
collaborative effort and not just like, cool, thanks for giving me money and a picture. You really want to incorporate them into the story.
Yeah, and I think one of my friends, she donated the $250, and she said something kind of funny. My friend Carolyn, she's like, David, I don't know, like I donated $250, but like I'm Asian. I don't know what was going on in the 1850s and 60s. And I said, you can be whatever you want. And I said, hey, there's a part, spoiler alert, they go into like this lair where there's a witch's like shop. And she said, okay, I want to be an Asian bunny in that scene, and I want to have my glasses in it. And I was like, done.
Right.
I'm like, issue 6, it's done.
Awesome. I mean, I think that means a lot that, you know, you are able to, and not only able to, you're wanting to let people just be creative and, you know, support your art, but also support their creativity and their, you know, desire to be a bunny with glasses, apparently.
Exactly. Like, it's also just fun, you know? Like, it just feels like a really nice jam session, you know? Like, yes, you can jam by yourself and have fun, but it's really fun to connect with other people and also establish group and establish community. And yeah, I just love that synergy. You know, when I talk to my team, like Joey, and talking to Cortland, they have told me, you know, they've had dictators instead of creators when it comes to collaboration. And, you know, I take my cues from, you know, Steven Spielberg, who loves collaboration, and even Kevin Feige, who's the president of like Marvel, like you know, a $12 billion company, and they hit up Ryan Coogler, who's done 2 movies, and say, hey, you want to do Black Panther? And they were just, I was listening to one of their interviews, and Ryan Coogler was nervous because he's like, oh, it's going to be, they're going to tell me what to do. They're going to dictate my every move. But they just said, hey, they just said, hey, what are you bringing? This is a collaboration. We're here to support your vision, you know? And yeah, it also makes you better too. And it makes you a better communicator.
For sure.
Yeah. Like I think, Cortland didn't like one piece of dialogue in issue 1, and I was having some trouble with that piece of dialogue in 1 page, and instead of me going like, well, it's my rule, take it or leave it, I just said to him like, okay, like, well, what would you want to say instead? And not as a throwing it in his court, but I was just saying like, hey, help me.
Right.
You
Nice.
know?
So just a couple more things that I wanted to hit on in both of the issues. There was a particular either image or page that really struck me and that I wanted to kind of give a shout out to. So in issue number 1, page 16 was the first moment where Harriet Tubman, like we talked about earlier, is standing face to face, nose to nose with the vampire at her 4'11" stature, and she's telling him like, you need to get out of my face. And the panels that you chose to show all of the panels of the characters who were in the scene of this look of shock and surprise of this small black woman telling a white man to get out of her face, and all that shock and surprise. And then the bottom panel is Venus, the daughter, who just out of nowhere just says, ha, and she laughs because at that point she had never seen something, you know, like that type of defiance, that type of agency that a woman had. That panel, or those panels on that page, were absolutely incredible. That was my highlight of issue number 1.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Like that again, a hero laughs in the face of danger, and in turn inspires other people too. You know, like it was so much. That was a lot of fun to write. And Cortland said, I think that's one of his his favorite pages, and I think the spelling of katana is one of his favorites.
Yep. Yeah. The spelling of vampire and the spelling of katana a little bit later.
Yes, like
nice.
Yes.
And then my other favorite page. This is another single page, and issue number 2, page 19, is this gorgeous full page spread of Harriet Tubman just leaping into action, 2 katanas at her side. The motion of that page is incredible. I mean, it is just a still frame, but you see the lines of motion. You see her just strong, powerful in the middle of this action scene. That was amazing. And who was the particular artist of that one? Because I know issue 2, you listed a few different artists, so I was not sure kind of who maybe worked on that one.
Yeah, issue 2 was Joey Vasquez took over the art and ink, and Josh Bertram took over the coloring. And mainly, Cortland had been a little bit busy. I think he was moving into a new house and also drawing issue 1 at the same time.
Right.
And drawing issue, and his wife was about to have their first child.
Mm-hmm. So a little bit busy.
Yeah, just a little bit busy. No big deal. And Annie has an animation side job. So he was a little bit busy.
Mm-hmm.
So Joey drew that, and Josh colored it, and that's the page where I said, make this epic.
Mm-hmm. And it definitely worked. I mean, that came across for sure.
Yeah, man. And they were, it's fun because it was a whole new team, so I had to recreate the characters with this new team.
Mm-hmm.
And so much fun. Ridiculous amount. I didn't think I would have as much fun as I did, because I had just finished the Kickstarter and things were kind of calming down. I'm like, oh, now I have to do it. Oh no.
Right.
No.
Then it became real.
This became real. Like, I've just been kind of campaigning and on a campaign trail, literally. Now I have to do this. This is really stressful. But I wrote that issue really quickly, actually, because by then I had been living with the characters for about 6-7 months at this time, and I had everything already outlined in my head, and then I had outlined the whole entire series by then. So everything it just kind of just spilled out, and it came really easily.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Great. And then, so like you mentioned earlier, this is a 13-issue arc. And issue number 2, later this month in February, drops on Comixology, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Issue 2 is going to come out on Comixology February 21st.
Okay.
And I know right now I'm in discussions with publishers to do to sign with them. Mm-hmm. And I know we're probably going to end up re-releasing issue 1 on a much more wide global level.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably know that by next week, and I'll let you know who it is.
The hesitation that you hear in David's voice is there are things and meetings that have happened that he cannot talk about.
Yes,
so.
I can't. I can't. When you, yeah. But
when the time is right.
Yes, I will tell you. You'll be the first one to know.
Excellent. And then where can people follow yourself on social media and also the project so they can get the most up-to-date information? Because, yeah, there are some big things happening and in the works, so I would love for people to know where the best place to go is.
You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at @Crownson. Mm-hmm. That is my personal page. That's where I share all things Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. And you can also go to the Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer Facebook fan page.
Okay.
And the comic is on sale right now. Issue 1 and 2, you can actually order physical copies from a black-owned comic book site called peepgamecomics.com.
Mm-hmm.
where they have digital and physical copies. Amazon/Comixology has digital copies that you can read with this amazing guided view.
Nice.
Issue 1 is out right now, and issue 2 comes out on February 21st because nothing screams Black history like Harriet Tubman killing a bunch of demons and vampires and werewolves.
And that was exactly why I wanted to have you on the show in the month of February to celebrate, Black History Month and to celebrate just an amazing real life hero and this kind of crazy, fantastical world that you put her in your work.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot to be. It means a lot to be recognized. I'm sorry, you're making a black man blush.
I do what I can. But you deserve it. The first 2 issues are great so far. I definitely cannot wait to see when the other ones come out. So I will put all of the links to both David and the comic and Peep Game Comics in the show notes below. So David Crownson, once again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you again, John, for having me. You have gained a new fan and a new friend. I will hit you up in Seattle when I'm there for when they have a con, and we'll grab some coffee and look at some cool art, because my friend does theater in Seattle and I hear nothing but amazing things.
It is pretty incredible. Excellent. And yeah, we'll absolutely do that.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get